And then remember to turn off your microphone when you come back to the common room. Then we are almost through. So welcome to the three speakers. It will be Matti first. And welcome, Matti. I will try to get out of this. Yeah.
Am I supposed to start here? Yeah, should I share the slides from my computer or do you share them? Yes, you're nodding there, Ruth. I'll try to share then. This works. What do you see? Is it working?
That looks great, thank you. If you can move into full screen view if you can, or presentation view.
I try to. Is this better?
This is perfect.
Perfect. Okay, then we can get started. So very nice to join this initiative. I'm Matti Leino. I'm a researcher at Stockholm University. I've been working with the history of crop plants for rather many years. I've also been involved in various kinds of seed preservation projects. A lot on cereals, but also a lot on vegetables. And more recently, I've been running a number of projects on organic vegetable seed production in Sweden. So the idea behind this project is a new role from the European Union that in organic production, only organically produced seed will be allowed from the year 2037. Actually, it is so already now, but there are a lot of exceptions given. And from this particular year, those exceptions will not be given later. So if there will be any organic production, there's a need for organic seed. And when it comes to vegetable seed, there are more or less no domestic production of seeds today. And this also means that there is a lack of knowledge on how to produce seeds. There's a lack of infrastructure for the production of these seeds and handling of these seeds. And they are not available for commercial growers. And we also find today a situation where the cultivars we can find on the market there are in many cases poorly adapted for Nordic conditions. At the same time, we are experiencing climate change. We need cultivars that are more tolerant to new weather conditions. And there is also a demand for self-sufficiency in a rather unsecure world where we cannot guarantee, for many different reasons, a seed supply from abroad. So that is the reasons why we started these projects. And I should say they are actually three different projects, because when you try to do research on any kind of agriculture, you much want to do this over a number of consecutive years to be able to actually tell something from running it many years in many different conditions. So we've been lucky to find funding both from the Swedish Board of Agriculture and the Ekhaga Foundation. And we can run these projects now for 6 years. We are now at the end of year 4. And we run these projects as participatory driven research projects together with farmers. And I will tell you more about this very soon. But first, when you start projects like this, you most often find a lot of criticism immediately. We've been told from the beginning that it is too cold in Sweden to produce seeds. We've been told that F1 hybrids is the only alternative for vegetable producers today. and we've been told that there is no economy at all in producing organic seeds. And of course, these kind of criticism is rather encouraging for a person like me. So we try to overthrow these persons criticizing the projects. Because what we know is that it has been done before. Only 70, 80 years ago, Sweden was more or less self-sufficient with vegetable seeds. Large seed production areas in Skåne and on Öland, producing seeds from carrots, from cabbages, from onions, from beets, and a number of other crops. We also know that it is being done today in home garden scale. The NGO Sesam has been producing seeds for 40 years or so in a small scale of a lot of crops in Sweden. And in Denmark, you have Frösamlarna that also is an organization showing that it is possible to grow seeds in Scandinavia. And our main aims of these projects is to be able to produce seeds organically by commercial growers of the quality that commercial organic growers require of today. And we also aim at having available a range of domestically grown organic seeds by this key year 2037. And we think this is necessary because otherwise the organic cultivation will for sure suffer if there's not a good answer to how to supply the organic growers with organically produced seeds. And the participants of our projects is myself. I'm a researcher. We have Hans Ness. Hans Ness has been working with organic productions for a long time, also for promoting and selling organic produce. And we have Elisabeth Ögren, who is an advisor working with organic vegetable production in mid-Sweden. And then we have 8 different farmers of different scales, from less than 1 hectare to almost 20 hectare of production. But most of them rather small scale producers, but yet they are commercial producers working full-time with their vegetable productions. And they are spread in mid-Sweden, as you can see on the map. And working this way is rather interesting because something happens when me as a rather theoretical-based researchers suddenly stand together with the farmer in his field, talking about what is happening here, what is difficult, what is easy, what solutions can we find together. So for me, this is a new way of making research, but it's really, really interesting, this meeting with the researcher, the farmer, and the advisor. So what are we doing? Yeah, of course, we grow seeds. We analyze the seeds that we can produce. We document what we do, so the farmers have to write diaries about their cultivations. We visit the farms, we have meetings, we try to develop equipment for threshing, drying, cleaning, etc. We do study visits to different seed producing companies abroad, and we do literature studies because seed cultivation was once a big business in the Nordic countries, and we try to find from old literature ideas on how to do this in the best way. And what then have we learned so far? Well, it seems that organic seed production is for sure possible, also in central Sweden, but we do meet several challenges. For the first thing, the growing season is indeed limited. The number of frost-free days is for sure fewer than we have in Germany or France or the Mediterranean countries. And constant questions that we come to over and over again is to find the optimal harvest time for seeds. And I will come back to that because that has really been critical. We face problems with overwintering of biennial crops that flower and give seeds their second year of cultivations. We run into a demand for mechanized seed handling as long as when we sort of increase the scale of seed multiplication. And there are also new problems with seed growing specific and seed-borne pathogens and diseases. So let's first talk a little about this limited grow season. Well, there are for sure crops that matures well outdoors in our climate: peas, sweets, turnips, cabbages, parsnips, celeriac, and a few others. No problem at all growing them. And then we have some, I would call them borderline cases. Lettuce, for example, but with a very big difference between different varieties. Radishes, beets, carrots, bean, onion, cucumbers very much depend on the season. And then there are some really, really difficult cases like broccoli and leek, for example, and fennel. But rather easy tricks can actually help in these borderline cases. A very easily built shelter over the lettuce seed field, as you can see in the upper right corner there, makes the difference from a success to a complete failure, actually. So just having this shelter protecting the crop from the rain makes the whole difference. And of course, today it is available a whole range of easy shelters. You don't need a high-tech greenhouse. You can, in rather cheap tunnels and etc., produce the seeds or give the shelter enough to have a secure seed crop. Then we have the question of finding the optimal harvest stage, and this is the first questions I get from the farmers over and over again. When should I cut my seeds? And we have tried to compile a catalog of characters to look for, like in parsnips, the color and the split of the fruits that are the seeds. Same with lettuce seeds. How many open flowers should you wait for before cutting the crop, and etc. But when it comes to carrots, for example, that you see on the far right, then you often stand with a crop that have mature seeds at the same time it's still flowering. When should you cut this crop? Should you pick the umbels one by one after they mature? Or is this feasible when you grow a whole field of carrots? This is difficult questions to answer, and we actually are still struggling with finding optimal harvest dates, because you tend to lose quite a lot of seeds if you wait too long, but the quality is too low if you cut the crop too early. So we don't have the perfect solution for this yet, but we struggle to guide the farmers on making this kind of decisions. Then we're working quite a lot with overwintering of biennial crops. And here we face multiple and sometimes counteracting problems because we need to protect the crops during the winter from cold. but the crops at the same time need a cold period to induce flowers, so we cannot protect them too much. And it still has to be rather feasible. It's easy to put 20 carrots in a box in the cellar, but it's much more difficult when you have 100 or 500 carrots, etc. So we've been trying different methods, and we've mostly been trying to compare overwintering in the field versus storing the crops in different kinds of storages. It could be pits in the ground, it could be climate regulated storages, any kind. And it seems as if for some of the farmers, overwintering in the field is the superior methods, not the least because they have more time to spend in their field during the autumn than in the spring. So when the crop is already standing at its right place in the autumn, you save a lot of work in the spring, but you say at the same time risk having different kinds of damages to the crop during the winter. So storages might be a safer option, but requires more work. Then when you scale up, growing from what I call a sesame scale to a more commercial scale, then you suddenly have a demand for some kind of mechanized seed handling. This is one of our farmers facing his harvested Swede seed crop, trying to figure out how on earth should I thresh and clean these seeds. We've been looking on different kinds of high-tech methods. There are all kinds of devices you can buy from Denmark and Holland. Different kinds of threshing machines, different kinds of cleaning machines. They are super good, but they are very expensive, and maybe not an alternative for a small-scale seed producer in Sweden. We've been thinking of different options of maybe buying one of these machines and circulating it around the farmers, or finding solutions where you have stations where the farmers can come and thresh and clean their seeds. We're not there yet, but we're thinking about this, having some kinds of regional seed threshing, cleaning facilities. But you can also do quite a lot with low-tech methods. Here on the left, you see we had a workshop building seed cleaning devices. And this seed cleaning device is driven by a regular vacuum cleaner. It works super, super good. Maybe you cannot clean 1 ton of seeds, but you can for sure clean many kilos of seeds, and it works really good. You can do quite a lot by hand, and rather easy equipment. In the lower end there, you see a fan-driven drying equipment where you have these tubes leading hot air down to the seed crop, drying it. And you can rub seeds with easy equipment to thresh it. So you can do quite a lot also with small-scale, low-tech equipment. I should not say too much about pathogens problems, but we do see that when we scale up, we face new types of diseases, unexpected diseases, and we are actually lacking good ways to monitor these today. There are indeed no lab in Sweden available that can diagnose seedborne diseases for us. But there are abroad in Germany and Holland and Denmark, I think, in some cases. So we are about to try to monitor this much better, because it will be a problem in the end, and we need to control this, because otherwise we sort of kill our project by ourselves if we cannot produce healthy seed. But we do test seed quality. We make germination and tests of everything, and we try to measure if the seed is clean enough, and that we get help from the Swedish Board of Agriculture that do the tests for us. It can look like this. This is from last year. These are not all the seed we produced, but some cases, and as you can see, the germination is really good, actually, for all the crops. There are some radishes slightly below 90, but it's still fully acceptable, and the purity is also super good. So last year was a super good year, I must say. It has not always been like this. 2023 was a really lousy year. We had a lot of rainfall in August, and this damages the seed crop. So they're not actually the same crops as last year, but you can still compare. We have much lower figures. And if you look on the carrots, for example, I would say none of those seed lots are acceptable for any organic grower today. On the other hand, there seem to be other crops like the Swedes in the lower end that, although we had this really, really poor year, they produced good seed. So there are more safe crops and there are more risky crops for sure. Then we've been asking ourselves quite a lot, what is actually a reasonable scale for seed productions? And I've made some comparisons here. If you imagine a seed productions on 100 square meters, and 100 square meters, this is not a lot. This is what you can find in almost any home garden. You can, from Swedes, produce around 20 kilograms of seeds. If you would buy 20 kilograms of seeds, that would cost you around 6,000 euros. I'm not saying that the grower would be able to sell his seed for this cost, but this is just an idea of the economic value of the crop. And that seed could be used to sow 30 hectares of Swedes, and that is almost the full acreage of Swedes we have in Sweden today. And it's rather similar with carrots and lettuces. You need very, very small acreage to produce the seeds necessary for rather large acreage. And that is one lesson to learn, that you can actually you're able to produce the seeds for more or less the whole organic vegetable area in Sweden in one company. It should be able, and this is maybe also the reason why we have no seed production in Sweden today. It's only really large scale seed production that is economically feasible. So there are pros and cons seeing these calculations. Maybe there's no economy, but there are quite a lot of other values, and we don't need much to really fulfill our aims. And we can discuss this more, but this is one lesson to be learned. The economy is not good, but small scale productions can supply large acreage of production. So that is more or less what I'm going to say. You can follow our projects on this website that fortunately has almost the same name as your project. It's called Fröalliansen, Fröalliansen.se, and it's rather premature, this web page, but it's coming more and more material there. You also have a link to our first handbook on how to produce organic seeds. Okay, thank you quite a lot, and that's everything I had to say, I think.
Thank you very much. There are a few questions here. The first has to do with geography. Why you chose mid-Sweden instead of south, and from my point of view, also why not the north? Seeds that are adapted to more challenging.
This is a very simple reason. This is because we, as the project leaders, we live in mid-Sweden, and we wanted to be able to visit our farmers regularly, and we cannot travel this far. But of course, the conditions would have been different in southern Sweden. So you have more days, and that would for sure make a difference in many of the crops. But I'd love to expand the project, also having more southern growers, possibly for some crops also more in the north. But it had practical reasons for choosing these farms.
Thank you. And on the note of collaboration, do you have any Scandinavian collaboration or thoughts about it?
Well, actually not yet. We've been visiting Norway, the company Solhatt. We learned quite a lot from them. But we have not involved any farmers from any other Scandinavian countries yet. We're looking a bit into the Baltic countries, where they still have some breeding activities that are interesting to us.
Thank you. And also, you said collaboration with farmers, and then you had a lot of different machinery. Have you any collaboration with machine developers or robot developers?
No, not yet. That's also in the plan. If we maybe should be able to sort of hire a machine for a short time period or so from any interested company. But when we have contacted these companies specialized in seed handling, vegetable seed handling, they want to sell the machines, and then they hear the scale we're growing in Sweden, and they are suddenly not very interested. These machines are super expensive, really. They are beyond the limits of our project.
So in the other scale of costs for machines, as you said, both in Sweden and in Norway, we used to be almost self-sufficient 100 years ago. Have any of those machines popped up? Have you found
yes,
them?
They have. They are what we call in Sweden pigtröska. I have no idea what that is in English. It's sort of sticky threshing device. It's driven by hand or a small motor. We've been trying to look for those. There are a few available. I know some cereal growers that uses these machines, and they should be really, really good. And there are also some seed cleaning devices here and there we can find that are useful. But surprisingly much has been lost. And there are people that have been traveling around in those seed producing areas, like Öland, for example, been looking for these machines, and they are very much lost, unfortunately. Also, the knowledge we've been trying, I mean, up until the 1960s, there were large vegetable seed productions in Öland, but we have not been able to find one single person that can tell us more about these. It's 65 years ago. It's too much.
And you had a list of types of varieties, but do you also work with seed diversity, land races?
Yeah, this has been a question to us. Of course, we're not working with hybrids simply for the reason that we do not have access to the hybrid parent materials. They will not be handed over to us from the breeding companies. But then we ask the farmers, because we want, what varieties are you interested in? Because it would be nice for the farmers to be able to produce seeds of the varieties they like to grow themselves. So this has been sort of the entrance to this project. So each farmer has been asked, what crops are you growing? What varieties are you growing? Can we produce seeds from those varieties? But then in some cases, we have also been trying to introduce some land races to the farmers that we find interesting, from Swedes and peas, for example. And it's fun because several of them have been really surprised how good they were and how well they worked in their production.
Good. I see there are some tips, for instance, from Karin Jansson, who has a pig trösko in Skåne. So maybe we could. I've also heard rumors about some seed equipment just across the border in Norway, in Østfold. So maybe we should do one of these wanted posters. Solat, as you mentioned, they will be coming to the conference in November, so I think we will have to continue the conversation there.
Okay.
Yeah, there are several tips coming now about old
I have to read the chat carefully, I realize.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.